Hi, it's Mr. Cohen, and this is third in a series of three short videos, probably about an hour altogether, on poetry interpretation. There's a, I think it's a great project coming due a week from today. Well, I'm going to send this out to you, and it'll be due a week from today, from the moment I'm saying this about. And you're asked to study some poetry. You can find them on your own. You can ask me to help you find them. And really, you want to kind of figure out how to say it. And this poem is called When Death Comes by Mary Oliver. As I was saying in the first two videos, first I'm looking for, does it have a beat? The first poem, the Sonnet 29, has a regular beat to it, iambic pentameter with some variations. The Robert Frost poem, Reluctance, had three beat lines with quite a bit of, what was the fancy word called? Quite a few, well, it's anapestic meter, because at least half of the feet or beats in each line are anapes. Now, let's take a look at this poem. Does it have a regular meter to it? Does it go ba da ba da ba da ba da? Or does it go, here's a different kind of regular meter. This is from the witches in the play Macbeth. How does it go? Double, double, toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. That's those lines, two lines there. Each line has four beats, so it's not pentameter, it's tetrameter. And it's not iambic, it goes double. Do you remember what that's called? Bada. It's not an iamb, it is where was it? A I didn't even write it down, did I? It's called an not a not an iamb, not a spondy. It's a trochee. Double, double, toil and trouble. So we're just looking for some kind of regularity, regular motion, we might call it, in this poem. And so I just start reading and see if it's falling into some kind of regular order with the beats and stresses and unstressed syllables and unstressed syllables. Is there a pattern there? Also, is there rhyme? Let's see. I'm just going to read. Oh, let's see. I think I'll be able to tell at this point. When death comes, like the hungry bear in autumn, when death comes and takes all the bright coins from his purse. I don't know what to do at the end here. This is just keeps going on to buy me and snaps the purse shut. There might be something there. But da, ba. I don't know. Let's keep going. When death comes like the measles pox. No, there is no beat here. Or if there is, it's inside a phrase. It's not a regular kind of metrical poem like we had in Shakespeare and Frost. Mary Oliver is a writer of free verse. And so there's other things that she uses to create a sense of order and expectations that are met and foiled. We do see certain things. She uses a lot of repetition. And there's this phrase that comes over and over and over again. I think that one thing that I would want to do in a poem like this, where I don't have really kind of six line stanzas like Frost or quatrains like in a Shakespeare sonnet. I do have little stanzas or little groups of lines, but there's not really any kind of particular organization to them. Three, three, two, two, four, two, two, two. 3, and it goes on. I'll show you the whole poem. But it's like, what are we going to do with this? We can't say that there's maybe we could find something, but it's not evident. If there's any kind of organization in the outward form, when there's not, there's often other types of organization that you can find pretty easily. And I'm going to submit that I'm going to draw a line right here. Right here. I'm just going to, I don't have an eraser. Yes, I do have an eraser on me. I'm just going to erase this line and kind of talk about why I chose that spot. So, what's going on here when death comes? Let's see how many times we find that. When death comes like the hungry bear in autumn. And then I get a semicolon. When death comes and takes all the bright coins from his purse to buy me, and snaps the purse shut. Okay. When death comes, like the measles pox. When death comes like an iceberg between the shoulder blades. And then we get a comma here. I guess the series is ending here. And so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. This is kind of, we don't have a repetition in beat, and we don't have a repetition in rhyme, but we have repetition, which is kind of at the heart of poetry. The repetition that we have here is in a phrase that gets repeated in the beginning of a clause. And there's a very fancy word for this I'm just going to write down here. And this is not pronounced anaphora. It's anaphora. Beautiful Greek word, anaphora. Say it yourself, anaphora. It is the repetition of a phrase, a word or a phrase at the beginning of a clause or a sentence. When death comes like the hungry bear in autumn, when death comes and takes all the bright coins from his purse to buy me, we find this rhetorical habit and of anaphora, of this kind of repetition all over the place. One of the poets who made it most famous for American poets who follow him, Walt Whitman. We find this all over the place in the Bible, in the Psalms. We find this in King. Martin Luther King Jr. is always using this kind of repetition. It's very powerful. Okay, so that seems to be a section. And what is the idea? Death is coming. It's coming in the future. And it seems like it's being described as something outside of the speaker that will arrive when it comes. And it's going to come in one of 4 forms, like a hungry bear in autumn. I'm not sure what that means. When he takes all the bright coins from his purse to buy me and snaps the purse shut, he's going to purchase me, like a measles pox disease. Iceberg between the shoulder blades. And sometimes when you're reading a poem like this, it's just nice. The image, the language, the sounds, you don't have to pin it down. It's fine the way it is. But the picture is death is something in the future. It is coming. It will come. And not sure what form it will take. And then we get into a new section of the poem, which seems to just last 2 lines. When this death comes, when the future arrives, here is how the speaker wants it to be. I want to step through the door, full of curiosity, wondering, what is it going to be like, that cottage of darkness? That's how she wants to die. She wants to She is picturing a door. She will step through it full of curiosity, wondering what it's going to be like. I guess this is one way to die: to stand up straight, to walk through the door full of wonder, what it's going to be like, death. And then this we'll call section 1, and this we'll call section 2. And I'm not sure where section 3 ends, but we'll start here. And therefore, now we're kind of in the present. In order to walk through the door with the kind of confidence she hopes to have when she dies, to enter the world of death with curiosity and wonder rather than fear and trembling and clinging to life, with a kind of openness and bravery. Very unusual kind of discussion that she's having in this poem. We are not taught how to die in our culture. Although Mary Oliver was quite a student of Buddhism, and this is a discussion that comes up quite a bit in Buddhism. Okay, now so we're in the third section. She wants to open the door and walk through full of curiosity. And to get to that state, she is now in the present. And therefore, I do this in the present so that I can die well. I do these things. I look upon everything as a brotherhood and a sisterhood. And I look upon time as no more than an idea. And I consider eternity as another possibility. And I think of each life. There's a kind of repetition going on here. I look, and I look, and I consider, and I think. These are all, let's see, there's this super nice long sentence that goes from here to here. And it's organized around, and therefore I do this, and I do this, and I do this, and I do this. And I consider eternity as another possibility, and I think of each life as a flower as common as a field daisy and as singular. And now we have, I think of each, and each, and each. And so it's kind of a very complicated sentence that has a lot of parts. And therefore I look, and I look, and I consider, and I think of each life as this, and each name as this, and each body as this. I think of each life as a flower, and I read that one, and each name as a comfortable music in the mouth. And here we have some nice sound effects, like comfortable music, mouth, tending as all music does towards silence. And each body, lion of courage and something precious to the earth. Okay, and then maybe this is something else here. When it's over, I want to say, all of my life I was a bride married to amazement. And then we have the sound again, married to amazement. That M, we get the M's here. I was the bridegroom taking the world into my arms. I mean, it's just such a kind of spiritual state to live in the way that she's describing here. I was a bride married to amazement. Amazement was my husband. I was a bridegroom taking the world into my arms. When it's over, I don't want to wonder. There's some W's here. Let's see. When it's over, I don't want to wonder if I've made my life something particular and real. I don't want to find myself sighing and frightened. This is definitely intentional. Find myself sighing and frightened. I, or full of argument. I don't want to end up simply having visited this world. And so this is a this poem is a real encouragement to us to find a way to live with more consciousness, more vigor. And it's not only a poem, it's also some kind of help in our world, in our life. And so, what do you do with a poem like this? I mean, you could you could really pause in between sections. You could, one thing I thought about because I've recited poems like this before. One thing I thought about is like, what do you do each time the phrase that repeats four times comes up? Do you say it in the same way each time? Or do you vary it each time? I asked my wife her opinion. My wife is I think I mentioned before, she's a classical violinist. And she says, "Oh, you've got to vary it every time, of course." And so I would do that. I think that's right. When death comes, like the hungry bear in autumn, when death comes and takes all the bright coins from his purse to buy me, and snaps the purse shut. When death comes, like the measle pox, there is a lot of freedom here. And uh, there's a bit more kind of constraint when it comes to a metrical poem like the Frost or the Shakespeare. And so, what I would say is figure it out, right? Figure it out. And there's thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of ways to interpret this poem convincingly. It could be when death comes, like the hungry bear in autumn, when death comes and takes all the bright coins from his purse to buy me and snaps the purse shut. That's one way. You could say, when death comes, like the hungry bear in autumn, when death comes and takes all the bright coins from his purse to buy me and snaps the purse shut. I don't know. I mean, that second one was kind of silly, but there are people out there who prefer um, doing something dramatic with it. And so this is the third poem. I am going to share these poems with you, and let me know if you have any questions, if you need help finding poems, if you feel like you've got a way that you want to say it, but you'd like to hear my opinion. I've learned to give pretty good notes, and I'd be happy to help you out. Just send me an email. Anyway, have a great night and